Good morning, Flosstube. My name is Crystal, and this is my channel about cross stitch. I have no clue what day it is, but I thought I would do something kind of fun. So I am going to just sit here in my chair. This is my stitching chair, and stitch. While I stitch, I am going to answer some questions that I found on the interwebs. I haven't really looked at the questions, so this could go super fast. This could take forever. I have no idea. But I am working on Seasons in Chalk, Winter. This is a collaboration from Priscilla Blaine from the Real Housewives of Cross Stitch, did the artwork, and I'm sorry, I'll stop shaking you in a second. Hands-on Design charted it, and it was in the February 2016 Just Cross Stitch issue. I have stitched spring, the patriotic one, fall, that's up there on the wall, and I am trying to push for a finish on this week. So I'm gonna just stitch. Y'all saw where I started. I'm putting on my doodads, whatever these are called, to keep my excess fabric out of the way. And I'm just gonna answer questions. And I don't know, I'll stitch for 30 minutes, maybe go longer. We'll see. I am pretty chatty, so it might take me a while to answer just a few questions, but hopefully my battery won't die. That's what we'll do. We'll stitch till my battery dies. We will stitch till my battery dies. All right, what am I doing? Starting a new skein of 3865. It's my favorite white. Can't get enough of it. My new favorite black is Anchor Black. I am not an organized stitcher. I don't probably do anything the right way, but that's okay. All right. First question, what does your name mean? So my name is Crystal Marie, and my name, Crystal, means like jewel or gemstone or whatever. But it also means, and this was not relevant until 3 years ago, Crystal also means Christ follower. I found that out while I was doing a Bible study on the names of God, and it challenged us to look for the meaning of our name, and a quick Google search told me my name means Christ follower, and I'm not gonna lie, I cried. I cried when I found out, so that's pretty exciting for me. Are you named after anyone? I don't know. I vaguely remember hearing that I was named, hold on, 1, 2, 3. Just needed to know where to start. That I was named after someone from the show Dallas. That was my mom's, or one of like the soap operas that were on at the time. But I don't actually know. It was 1982, so it is not a family name. Marie is not a family name either. It's probably just something my mom liked. Yeah, probably. Does your name make any interesting anagrams? I don't know what an anagram is, so skip. If you had to change your first name, what would you change it to? I have no idea what I would change it to, but I do know that for a long time I thought my name sounded like a stripper name, Crystal. I don't know. I hated my name for a while. It just sounded like, you know, a little too much. But I have never thought about what I would change it to. Where are you from? And the next question is, where were you born? And the one after that is, where did you grow up? So I'll answer all three of those at the same time. I was born in Garland, Texas. It is a suburb of Dallas. I lived in that Garland, Mesquite area until 2nd grade. And we moved to Wisconsin because my stepdad's family is from Wisconsin. My stepdad's from Wisconsin. And we lived there for like 2 years, I want to say. I can't remember how long. And then my grandfather passed away in Texas, and so we moved back to Dallas, the Dallas area. And we lived there until I was a freshman in high school. And then my grandfather here in Wisconsin was very ill. So we moved back to Wisconsin. And I went to high school. We lived in the Madison area. And I went to high school in a suburb of Madison. And then I went to college. I'm just going to tell you the whole story. I went to college in Oshkosh for about a year. Where I was not ready for the freedom. I was not ready for the freedom that you have when you go to college. And I ended up only doing a year, but I had met a boy. We moved in together. We lived together for almost 7 years. And that relationship ended pretty badly. And because I had been in a relationship, a serious relationship, for all of those young, like, teenage years, or like young 20s, I went wild when we split up. I went wild. And I needed a break. I needed a break and I needed a change. So I moved back to Texas. Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Just double counting. Yeah. So I moved back to Texas and I lived with my aunt and uncle for about 6 months, and then I moved into my own place, and that was in Ennis, Texas. Really, they live in Tellico, which is like not even a dot on the map. It's like one loop. One loop of road. And that's where I met my now husband, and we moved. We lived there for 4 years, 2 dating and 2 married, and then we moved to Wisconsin 5 years ago. So I really am a Texan and a Wisconsinite. I am both. I always joke and say that I belong in Kansas because that's somewhere in the middle. But I think, it's interesting because if you're a Texan, most Texans will never leave. Texas is like its own 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Texas is like its own little country. So if you're a Texan, you'll never leave. And I did. And while I will always have Texas roots and almost all of my family is there, I really love the Midwest. I think the Midwest is great for raising kids, and we love all of the stuff you can do outside. And there's not as many bugs, and it's not as hot. And there's not as many big cities. I hate traffic. It's just different. It's just different. So that's all three of those questions rolled into one. Who did you look up to growing up? Nobody. Probably nobody. I'll leave that one there. What are your, oh boy. What are your best characteristics? And the next one is, what are your favorite things about yourself? Oh, so I'll answer those together. That's hard. You know, like, I don't know. I've gone through some periods of really not liking myself at all. There are some traits about me that most people don't like that I really do like. I have some pretty severe anxiety and depression, clinically diagnosed, not just made up in my head. I have terrible OCD. And at times those can be debilitating, but I also can think that sometimes they lend themselves to me getting a lot done. That's probably my favorite thing about myself, is that I'm a doer. Things don't languish on my to-do list for very long. I get things done pretty quickly. I am a people pleaser. So I often have people come to me and ask me to do things, and I don't know how to say no. So I really like to be needed, and I have positioned myself in my life to where I'm needed, because I'm a doer. So I would say that's probably that. And if you've ever heard of the book, The 5 Love Languages, it's a kind of like personality assessment. There's a bunch of personality assessments I've done through counseling and stuff. I've had extensive counseling. The Enneagram test is one of the personality tests I've done, and I am a 1 on the Enneagram, which you'd have to look up what a 1 on the Enneagram is. I am a 1 to a T. And the 5 love languages, my love language is acts of service. So I really like to do things for other people. And I think some of that is selfish because I like to be needed. But some of that really is a genuine, I just want to make things better for other people. So I would say that's probably my favorite thing about myself. And what's interesting about that is it comes from low self-esteem. Low self-esteem and wanting to be loved and liked and needed. And some of it comes from OCD and needing to get things accomplished. So some negative traits have turned into positive, which is awesome. Okay, which of your parents are you closest to? Well, by default, that would be my mom. I have 3 dads. My biological father, I never knew. I met him 5 years ago, right before my husband and I got married. And then he passed away 6 weeks later. So I never knew him, and I carried a lot of anger because of it. And then my stepdad, who I consider my dad, my mom was married to for 22 years. We do not have a relationship. He's an alcoholic. And doesn't really know how to have relationships with people. So we do not have a relationship. And then my mom is now married to a man that up until I had my son, I did not care for. He was not my favorite human, but after having my son, he is wonderful with him. And for me, my son has been my line in the sand in every relationship. If you're going to treat my son well and you're going to love my son, then you are awesome in my book. So, my mom and I have not always been close. We have a strange relationship. Right now in 2020, it's pretty great. I also attribute a lot of that to my son. Because if you're willing, like I said, if you're willing to be good to my son, then you are the bee's knees in my book. Isn't that funny? When you become a parent, you just no longer care about yourself, really. All right. Which of your parents are you more like? Good and bad. I am like my mom. But there's also a lot of qualities about me that I don't know where they came from. Probably my dad, but we'll never really know because he's no longer alive. Or they're just things that I've picked up based on life experiences. Not really sure. Let me finish this little half stitch. And I'll show you my progress. I don't mind stitching in white. I know a lot of people say they hate stitching in white. I don't. Railroad. I do stitch the Danish method, where you do one leg of your stitches and then you go back and you do your other. That's where I'm at. I did that part on the E. So pretty quick. All right. Are your grandparents still married? all of my grandparents, I have 3 sets, they were all still married, and they have all passed away. What relative was important to you growing up and why? I have a couple. My stepdad's, so the man that raised me, well, was there while my mom raised me. His mom was, I mean, truly probably the greatest woman I've ever known. My dad, I'll just call him my dad, his dad would not let him adopt me because we were white trash. So his mom was really the only person on that side of the family that ever treated me like I belonged in that family. And she was lovely. She painted and sewed. She did all sorts of crafty things. And she gardened like none other. Her garden was amazing. She cooked everything from scratch. She was always covered in flour. Always. It didn't matter. And she was just kind. She was just a kind woman. She worked hard. And she always let me participate in what she was doing. She never was too busy for me. I used to go to her house in the summer and I would take all my dolls. I had American Girl dolls. And I would set up their little house. And she would sew clothes for them. And she was lovely. She was lovely. So I was really close with her. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I gotta count that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. On my mom's side, my grandfather was everything. He passed away when I was 11, but my childhood with him, I'm the oldest grandchild on my mom's side, and he, I'm sure, had all of his negative qualities, and I'm sure he wasn't always perfect, but in my mind he was, and I don't ever want to hear bad things. But he would take me, sneak me for ice cream, and he let me put lotion on his head. I played beauty parlor and put lotion on his head. He was so patient when I was little and always had time for me. He would take me, we're from Texas, and he always wore long sleeves, which is so weird. But he would take me to the playground down the street and push me on the swing on the blacktop for hours. As long as I wanted to be there, he would do it. He was wonderful. My aunt on my mom's side of the family, we're a lot similar. We're similar. We're a lot alike. In some ways. In some ways, we're nothing alike, but I would say 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7. I would say they are who I am close with. What is one thing that you've never revealed to your parents? I don't think there's anything. I'm pretty transparent. Yeah. What you see is what you get. I don't really do secrets. Now, I'm sure when I was a teenager, I kept secrets. I feel like anything I did wrong, I got caught though. So, um, and my mom knows everything that I did, like after the fact. What would your parents have named you if you were the opposite gender? My mom thought I was the opposite gender, and she was going to name me Brandon Scott. Again, I have no clue where that came from, but that was my name. I was supposed to be a boy, and she didn't find out I was a girl until I was born. So, yep, Brandon Scott. When I had Grayson, I thought about naming him Brandon Scott, but didn't. What do you call your grandparents? So I had 3 sets. My mom's parents were Granny and Poppy. It's like, I think in the South you have really funny names. So Granny and Poppy. My biological grandparents were Mama and Papa. And then my dad's parents up here were Grandma and Grandpa. What is your best physical feature? Probably my eyes. They don't seem special to me, but I get stopped by random people in the grocery store. Oh, you have beautiful eyes. Thanks. What is your biggest accomplishment? Being a mom. I tried for 12 years. I was told for 12 years that I wouldn't be able to have kids because I have had a lot of ovarian cysts, and I've had a lot of issues. So I didn't think I would be able to have children. Grayson was a surprise. And I love him to pieces. I should probably mention Zoe. Zoe's my stepdaughter. I have been in her life since she was 3. We were very close when she was younger. As she has gotten older, I am her mom in the sense that I am the female that lives in the house and raises her and does all the things for her, but we are not bonded anymore, and I don't really know what to do about that other than to just keep parenting, I guess. What is your biggest fear? I have a lot. I have a lot of fears. I am a fearful person in general. I would say my biggest fear is something happening to Grayson. That fear was debilitating for a number of years. I am slowly getting a handle on it. But, yeah. I'm also afraid of weird things, like I've never been in a house fire. but I have nightmares about fire. I have never been to the Grand Canyon. I will never go to the Grand Canyon, but I have nightmares about the Grand Canyon. I will never go on a cruise. I have nightmares about... Have you seen that movie Open Water? Terrified of open water. Mostly sharks. And Poseidon, have you seen that movie? No, I will never go on a cruise. I don't even know if I could fly over the ocean. I'm fine with the lake. But yeah, I have a lot of weird, irrational fears. I'm afraid of heights. I'm not afraid of bugs. I just don't care for them because they're gross. I don't think you can live in Texas and be actually afraid because they're everywhere. I think they're just gross, and you can have a distaste for them. Make sure it's lining up. What is your biggest regret? This is hard because I do have regrets and I wish I had done certain things differently. But I'm really, if I had changed any of those things, I may not be a mom, or I may not have the kid that I have, or, you know what I mean? So because of that, I don't know. I don't know. What is your eye color? It changes. My eyes, I think, are marked as hazel, but they change often. So I don't really know. What inspires you? Kind people. Always kind people. I think it is generally lacking in the world. And so when I come across someone that is just kind, it keeps you going, you know? I'm getting ready to end because it says my battery's almost, or my memory's almost full. What is the most important thing in your life? My faith. And then my kids and my husband. But my faith. What has required the most courage of you in your life so far? I don't know. I think the hardest thing I've ever done in my life is be a parent, but I wanted that so badly that I don't think that took courage. I think probably becoming a believer and being open about it is very scary because it is not something that's widely accepted. Because the Bible really does go against worldly views, and worldly views are so popular. So I think talking about that has been the thing that has taken the most courage. So that is 25 questions, and we are at 34 minutes. I am almost done with my, I don't know, what is this? second or third length of floss. So I think I'm going to finish this stitch, show you where I'm at, and end the video. I think I'm going to keep doing these. If you're not interested or you don't like chatty videos, just skip them. But I think it's interesting to find out about other people, especially people that you're watching. So, that's how far I got, 30 minutes. And I am going to keep plugging away at this today. So I will be back for another one of these probably in about a week. Until then, everyone have a great week. Bye.